Hello everyone, welcome to Drawer for Africa. Today we bring you an exclusive and insightful interview with President Isaias Afwerki of Eritrea, conducted in Asmara, the capital city. In this compelling conversation, President Afwerki shares his unique perspective on the historical relationship between Eritrea and Ethiopia, with particular focus on the Oromo movement and regional politics in the Horn of Africa. This interview offers a rare glimpse into the complex historical dynamics that have shaped the region, drawing from President Afwerki's decades of experience and first-hand involvement in these pivotal events. Stay tuned as we delve into this enlightening discussion about liberation movements, regional solidarity, and the path to democracy in the Horn of Africa. Thank you for choosing Drawer for Africa.
We're here in Asmara, Eritrea's capital. We've been here as part of OMN to reach Oromo's neighbors and friends. Today, sitting with President Isaias Afwerki, the President of the State of Eritrea. We're here to talk about the entire the region that we live in, the global aspects, and then in particulars about Oromos and Ethiopia in general. Mr. President, in the name of the Oromia Media Network and its global audience, and also the OMN organization and our crew, we really thank you for taking your time and being with us.
Okay, in our first question, we want to take you a little back. We wanted to open our interview with a past recollection of, specifically with aspect of various movements in the country that started decades ago. As you were coming up in the era of challenges to the very history that made up the country's past of the conversation, what is your recollection to other political liberation or democratic forces in Ethiopia? What role did you play outside the Eritrea liberation movement? Why was it possible for EPLF to stay focused on its original mission of bringing a true referendum to the people of Eritrea, and accomplished it while it was challenging to others to do the same, or including like democratizing Ethiopia? And what was or when was your earliest exposure to the Oromo question of freedom, and how was that developed over decades?
It's a very long story, but we can summarize this long experience for generations and say the liberation struggle in Eritrea, the political movement in Eritrea cannot be seen separated from the regional issues, and we may have been engaged in correcting distortions in history. Before the advent of colonialism, the map of the region, the history of the peoples of the region, their solidarity, their common destiny was there always. There was nothing new. Colonialism may have come and drawn borders of nations, which is very natural for every people to accept, but again, the Horn of Africa in general and the history of the peoples of the Horn was totally distorted by external agendas and external interests. To come to the history of Eritrea, we can say that with the advent of colonialism, Eritrea was one of the nations crafted out by colonial powers, the end of the 19th century. Unfortunately, after the Second World War, we could have gained our independence like every other nation in the continent, but the superpowers who came victorious after the Second World War came and said, well, Eritrea does not serve their strategic interests in the region, and for that matter, the people of this country were deprived of their right to independence and self-determination, and they had to fight for almost half a century to achieve those goals. But we have never seen this distortion as exclusively directed against the people of Eritrea. The distortion was there with the assumption or with the creation of a myth called Ethiopia, which came as a result of external interests who felt that that myth could serve their strategic interests in the region. Other peoples were destined to accept their destiny as a result of the wishes and the choices of colonial and global powers. And the struggle in Eritrea was part of the bigger struggle in the Horn region. And why the EPLF remained focused was because the reading, it was not unique for the EPLF to read the history of the region within a bigger context. It was, yes, definitely an Eritrean case, an Eritrean exclusive national struggle for liberation, but it was part and parcel of the broader struggle within the region, and particularly the people in Ethiopia who were also destined to accept the options put on the table by external colonial powers. And the solidarity was a natural option for everyone, not only Eritrea, but for the people in Ethiopia to go into solidarity so that the bigger picture changed for good. And finally, the liberation of the whole region as a major achievement was realized after the end of the Cold War. The Cold War ended, and we said, well, now we have in Eritrea, the people in Ethiopia, the people in Somalia, the people in Sudan, the people in the Horn at large have an opportunity to shape their future and their destiny without the intervention of external powers and external agenda. And then we can come and talk about the last 25 years, how it evolved, what we've seen recently in Ethiopia, the region at large. We still believe and we remain focused within the idea that mission has not been accomplished because of distortions. And we have a common destiny. We need to consolidate solidarity so that we achieve our common goals, which is not new. It's nothing new. It's not come as a result of the events and developments of the last 25 years. It's part of a history of more than 4 generations, as we can see it, and we remain focused, and we continue to be committed to the ultimate goal of a neighborhood that will have to enjoy freedom, stability, and prosperity.
What was your first exposure to the Oromo movement? And
I try to avoid this because I'll have to go and recollect many things. I mean, 91 was the culmination of the common goal. Because of our commitment to the people in Ethiopia, we were open to work with any organization in Ethiopia. We had the APRP, we had the Mason, we had the TPLF, we had the Oromo and other organizations, the Ogaden organization. Everybody was there. And we were committed to a solidarity with the Oromo struggle because it's not a matter of numbers. Rulers in Ethiopia have deliberately distorted history and tried to marginalize the people, the Oromo people, all along. And the history even of the Oromo people are distorted by rulers in Ethiopia and their patrons. And yes, one group coming, sometimes at one point in history, people supposedly representing the Amharas. I don't say rulers in Ethiopia, in Addis, in the Amhara region were representative of the Amhara people. The Amharas were also subjugated to control and manipulation by the rulers. But again, there was this impression that, the Amharas have ruled Ethiopia and they were considered to be rulers, which is not true. I say that was a distortion. But all along, the marginalization of the Oromos by ruling groups in Ethiopia has been a very sad history in a number of generations. And our understanding of the Oromo struggle was it could make significant achievements in Ethiopia if it's realized as a major contributor to the overall and broader liberation struggle in the region. The Oromo movement went through phase, difficulties and challenge, the problem of organization at one point, organization of leadership at another point. The history of dehumanization had its negative effect on a number of historical development. Geography itself was even a problem for the Oromos to have an outlet and have access to the outside world and to liberation struggles in the region so that they can organize their population to fight for their liberation. Our relationship with the Oromo movement was a very complex in so many ways. I say, armed struggle in Oromia could be one of the most difficult things you can imagine, given the geography of Eritrea, the collaborations that should have been there. But again, I think we overcame all obstacles and established direct contact with the people of Oromo. We had to go to Walaga, we had to go to the western part of Oromia, we had to contact people in the east and exchange our experience with them so that they can stand on their 2 feet and join the struggle of removing tyrants in Addis, which I believe was culminated in 1991. But again, the Oromos were challenged with another phenomenon. That phenomenon was Wayane. Wayane's phenomenon, rather than recognize the rights of the Oromos and allow them to participate in a very democratic process, the political process inside Ethiopia, Wayane created an umbrella, it's called the EPRDF, where a substitute organization was created, OPDO. It was not to the liking of the Oromo people, it was not even to the liking of anyone who had a solidarity relationship with the people of the Oromo. And there was a leadership problem again within the Oromo ranks, which failed to realize the threat coming from this TPLF manipulation. In spite of all these challenges and obstacles, we have maintained our position that the Oromo people need to be supported morally, at least. They have their own resources, they don't need any resource from outside. And these recent events are even exemplary on how much they can impact on the political arena inside Ethiopia and outside Ethiopia. I believe the organizational solidarity and coordination with the Oromo movements have always been there. The OLF is there. Everybody in the Oromo land really appreciates the support and solidarity from the Eritrean side. We may not have done our share. We may not have contributed according to our wishes in the Oromo land. But again, I can say it's a very long history with to cite the importance of how much things have changed now, but again, since the Haile Selassie regime in Addis, and then again Mengistu, the global intervention, the flourishing of a number of organizations inside Ethiopia. We have all along been with the Oromo movement, because it's not to be seen in isolation of the bigger picture. You cannot have any change within the region if one of the biggest nationalities in the Horn of Africa, I don't say in Africa, is not participating in the change that should have happened even before the coming of the TPLF in power. Now, I can say the 91, 92, in fact, the conference held in Addis was an opportunity, not only for the Oromos, but for the people in Ethiopia to realize that the participation of all Ethiopians in the making of the future of Ethiopia in a new setting could have saved lives, could have saved time, could have been an achievement for not only Ethiopia but the whole region. Unfortunately, 25 years, that opportunity has been compromised because of the machinations of Wayane and its allies. But now, again, we see that the Oromos are taking their rightful place in the regional development. Hopefully, with the advent of a unique and successful movement we have witnessed recently, we can say, in spite of some of the challenge for the organizations emerging in the Oromo land, the Oromos are taking their rightful place in the global, regional, and local scenes in Ethiopia.